far the most common question I get after I speak at conferences or trainings about basically any topic: emotions, conflict, relationships, stress, resilience, any of it. The most common question I get is, well, yeah, but that's all great, but this is what's happening in my life. What do I say? What do I say when? By far the most common question. So I thought, it's time we did a series on what do I say when? And the best way to start it is with what I'm calling my flagship story of when I realized that I could really respond to people and use language without like going from, have you ever heard the phrase from silent to violent? Like from just like, or verbal vomit, from like spewing on someone, or from walking away and not saying anything and then having conversations with my friends about what I should have said, what I could have said, all of that stuff. And it was a moment in time. And I hope as you, by the way, and I'll remind you later, click the link down in the bio there to visit my website, find more things, follow me on social, subscribe, all those things here, because we're going to do more of this stuff over time. And I hope after you watch the series, you will say, oh my gosh, I had a flagship moment too. I don't know how long the series is going to be. I'm going to take the Forrest Gump approach and just keep going until I'm done talking. And then we'll move on to another series. I haven't done one like this before. Okay, I'm rambling now. On to the story. This was probably 14 years ago. I had just started, no, it must have been 15 or 16. I had just began my professional speaking career. And one of the first things I did was to be a contract trainer with seminar companies. And so what that meant, and this was the norm for me, is that I would fly out on a Sunday. I would meet another trainer who typically I'd never met before. We would get a rental car. We would drive to a hotel. We had our own sleep rooms. We would get up the next morning, come downstairs 7-ish, set up the room for the public. Now, the public seminar meant that this company would market to businesses in an area, and then they would send their people to this hotel conference room. So we'd come down, we would get set up, we would train together all day. We would get our books that we were required to sell at the back of the room. We would get all of our materials. We would pack it in boxes, jump back in the car, drive 2 or 3 or 4 hours, sometimes fly to the next hotel and do it all again, and then part ways on Friday and fly home. And so often, like I said before, it was often a trainer I had never met before. And we were together all the time, except for our sleep rooms. You see how that could be potential for conflict. So here's what happened. I'm with this woman, and we had not worked together before. It was Wednesday. We were teaching a conference, a professional conference for women. And we get up on Wednesday, we come downstairs, we present together for a while, and then we do breakouts. And so we explain to the women what our session is. Mine was going to be managing emotions. Hers was going to be assertiveness. We explain it. There are about 120 women there. We take a break, and the women can go to whichever class they want. So I'm getting ready to start, and I notice that my room is super full, and she comes walking in the back with her own chair and says, no one came to my session, so I'm just going to join you. Totally fine. But what should her role have been in my room as I was the trainer in that room? And you're probably saying, oh, to help you out. And I'm like, no, it's like, zip it, like just be an observer. Well, there came a point in that class where I said to the room, just like this, I said, I need someone to engage me in a difficult conversation. Raise your hand. Who will do it? No one ever raises their hand initially, because what I'm really saying is, I need you to be mean to me. I need you to say something, challenging or mean. So then I usually lighten it up a little bit and somebody raises their hand. I didn't have to lighten it up because her hand went straight up. Now, that particular day, I had my hair up and I call on her and she says in front of 120 women, yeah, what's up with your hair? Now, if you're a man watching, you may not get that as much, but still there's 120 women in this room. And what I didn't share with you yet is we had conflict on Monday and Tuesday. We were not getting along. So her head goes up. She says that. And I feel this, my face gets red. I feel my adrenaline pumping. But here's the amazing part. Because I had to sell these books from the back of the room, I'm not going to sell a book without reading it. And I had been, and I'll share more with you about this book next time, but I had been reading this book and I remembered what I had read. So I paused for a minute. And, when we're upset, we're filled with adrenaline and it's hard to like form words from scratch. But I had the phrase. And even though I didn't say it exactly the way I had read it, what I said was, what would make you ask me a question like that? And I was like, so proud, right? Like, okay, I did it. But she answered my question and she said, I don't know, turn around. I think you look completely unprofessional. Now, these poor women were like, because they could tell it wasn't planned. And it was like this tennis match. They're looking back and forth. And I paused again and I was searching for a phrase. And then I remembered some semblance of one. And I said, well, I do want to hear what you have to say, but not the pot shots. Now, other things happened with us, which I, again, will share on our next session together. But I wanted to open with this because a question might be, what do I say when someone says something to me in front of other people? And I think the old me, before I had learned this power of language, would have probably either said nothing, mumbled, maybe cried, maybe said something mean. I don't even know. But if you know my history, I have a history of growing up with mental health issues and anxiety, which related to my self-esteem. Like, I want you to like me. And here I was being not liked in this room. That was the day when I realized no matter what she says back, no matter what happens from this point forward, language can help me live a better life. It was huge for me. So remember, subscribe, go to the links, I will be promoting courses soon to take about all kinds of things. I really want to get out there more and help you. So let me know your stories. Let me know your questions. Next time, I'm going to go more in depth about this book and what happened. And we're just going to do more questions about what do I say when? And I hope it's life-changing for you. I'll see you next time.